happiness in your. Okay. So may God give you all the happiness and all the joy and all the prosperity you're looking for. With those words, today I'm going to share with you some thought, my understanding, my experience in the field of hydroponics. And I'm sure मुझे विश्वास है कि यहाँ पे जितने लोग हैं उनमें से कुछ लोग जानते होंगे बिना मिट्टी की खेती, और ज्यादातर लोगों ने जो पढ़ाई की इंक्लूडिंग मी, पढ़ाई जो किया था वो हमने मिट्टी के साथ खेती करना पड़ा था. बट यस, विद द चेंज सिनेरियो, with something like advancement, we are bound, we are forced, we are something like left with no option, just opting for soilless farming. So we have an hour with us, and I'll try to give you the basic knowledge of hydroponic. But yes, if you guys are looking for a specific knowledge on any of the hydroponic topic, because mine is the expertise and the core is the growing, how to grow your crop. So today only I'm going to give you the brief about hydroponics, why, how, and what basics you need to follow. And maybe if I'll get an opportunity, I would love to interact with you guys for talking on fertilizer management, which is hard for hydroponics. So let's go for today's lecture. Where is that? I need to show the window. I'll share my screen where it is. All windows. Okay, share. So let's start and talk about hydroponics. So the first thing is, if we talk about hydroponics, it is essential, it is important, it is required to understand why hydroponic is need of the hour, why hydroponic is required, and how it is going to enable us, because we all are working for agriculture sector. So how it is going to enable us for ensuring or meeting the requirement of quality food. I don't know. There are messages popping up. Somebody has raised hand or what? I don't know. So I'm just moving ahead. I'll give you an opportunity because time is constrained. So I'll give you an opportunity for 15 minutes to ask the question and answer on this. So let's try to understand the journey of our agriculture, the kheti badi, because I am a proud kheti badi wala. So I would like to start with the journey of kheti badi, how the kheti badi started, how the farming started, how this commercial farming started. So if you see like journey, it started with hunting and gathering, because our ancestors, they were only doing the hunting and gathering, and then moved to shifting cultivation. And after shifting cultivation, when they learn how to grow the crop, then they opted for subsistence farming, means bartered system. Somebody was growing some other crop, other was growing other crops, and then they were exchanging that. And finally, because of the need or because of the increasing population, we were forced to opt for a commercial farming. So if we see, we started with hunting and gathering, shifting cultivation, and subsistence farming. But the moment we enter in a commercial farming, we started with only two stakeholders in value chain. That was the first is a farmer and the second was a consumer. And the life was very easy and smooth. The farmer were producing and producer were just buying. But gradually, if you see, this chain has elongated and there was a more number of players involved in this value chain, and the impact everybody is aware of. But the major change which happened somewhere in 2019, the moment pandemic, the COVID entered, that the chain between these two stakeholders elongated and it disturbed. And the major disturbance was only majorly on shipping or transportation of the produce, because farmer were continuously producing, consumer was consuming, but the logistic arrangement was disturbed, and because of that there was a pressure on requirement. So that was something like a journey of kheti badi. But the second question comes, why hydroponics? Why farming? What is a human expectation? If we talk about, so everybody is working for having a happy family. So जो भी कोई काम करता है वो इसीलिए कर रहा है कि मैं अपने परिवार को खुश कैसे रख पाऊं। और खुश रखने के लिए अगर देखा जाए तो देयर आर 3 different aspects which are enabling, or there are 3 factors which contributes for ensuring happy family. Those are health security, financial security, and social security. And we all are working towards these. Financial security, yeah, definitely those who are in the business, they are working for the business. Those who are working professional, they are doing their service. And health security, definitely everybody is doing their effort for ensuring the healthy. We सुबह में exercise करो, कोविड आने के बाद फिर हमने breathing exercise भी integral part हो गया हमारा. And social security is a kind of identity one need to create in the society. कुछ ऐसा करते हैं जिससे कि हमारी समाज में पहचान हो. और अगर देखें तो हम सभी लोग इसी 3 चीजों के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, और ये 3 चीजें अगर मिलती है तो हम जो हमारा गोल है हैप्पी फैमिली का, दैट वी आर एबल टू अचीव. So rest others are definitely, we all are working at the individual level, but the moment health security is coming in picture, then there is something like lifestyle, even the physical exercise, and then the breathing exercise, and even you have to have a healthy environment, and healthy environment के साथ साथ healthy खाना भी जरूरी होता है. These are the things which ensure your health security. And last 2 is coming या तो हाइड्रोपोनिक्स से या खेती बाड़ी से आता है. So health security is an area where hydroponic can contribute significantly. If you see, if you're consuming in daily diet a healthy produce, healthy means it's rich in nutrition, फ्रेश होना चाहिए, उसके साथ इसमें कोई हार्मफुल केमिकल नहीं होना चाहिए. अगर ऐसी चीज आप खाते हैं, अपनी डाइट में इंक्लूड करते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली आपकी हेल्थ बेटर होती है. सो आगे चलते हैं एंड ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई हाइड्रोपोनिक. अल्टीमेटली खेती तो चल रही थी, ये हाइड्रोपोनिक या अर्बन फार्मिंग की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी? एंड बिलीव मी, जो खेती का एक वर्ल्ड है, या खेती की जो दुनिया है, या खेती का जो सेक्टर है, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर, it is evolving into 2 different sub baskets. One is the traditional or rural farming, and the second is urban, which is a high-tech farming. Though the segment of this hydroponic or high-tech farming is at this point of time in India is very small, but going forward, it is going to expand. And the most important thing, both of them, means the traditional farming and the high-tech or urban farming or hydroponic farming, they both are going to become enabler to each other, because if you see, the traditional farming majorly focusing on the grains, and the urban farming or high-tech farming, they are focusing on the greens. Greens means the fresh vegetable, fresh fruits, leafy vegetables. So all those things are coming under the urban farming. So let's try to understand जरूरत क्यों पड़ी, why hydroponics. So एक अगर हम बात करें आज एग्रीकल्चर आउटपुट की, the quality is deteriorating. And as a consumer, as a user, we don't have any tool to assess the quality of your produce. आज जो हम खरीदते हैं बाजार से, हमारे पास ऐसा कोई औजार नहीं है. We don't have any tool to assess whether ये अच्छा है, इसमें harmful chemical है, pesticide है, heavy metal है, pathogen है, क्या है. So that is somehow is becoming a challenge for the society, or as we are progressing somehow जो इम्यूनिटी का स्टेटस है, इम्यूनिटी का लेवल है, वो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन का कहीं ना कहीं रूरल पॉपुलेशन से कम है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट they need to be extra cautious on the quality of produce or quality of food they are eating. And because of that, if you see, urban population are more aware about the quality of produce. They know. And even I want to share with you, हमारे कुछ कस्टमर तो ऐसे हैं कि उनको अगर हाइड्रोपोनिक प्रोड्यूस दो और उनको अगर ट्रेडिशनल प्रोड्यूस दो, सेम चीज, मे बी टमाटर, मे बी खीरा, मे बी एनीथिंग, they can tell, they can assess that this is a hydroponic one and this is the traditional one. So that's the level of quality awareness is somehow evolving in urban societies, and that's how the future of urban farming and future of hydroponics is bright. Not only that, the urban population is having a paying capacity. If you see, now the paying capacity has gone up. Not only the paying capacity has gone up, people are willing to pay for the quality and assured quality produce. And I'll share the example that 80 rupees versus something 90 rupees per plant. The second why, answer for a second why hydroponics, the agriculture resource, means soil is deteriorating, resource is becoming constrained, पानी नहीं है, मिट्टी सही नहीं है. Even आप अगर आज देखें, which is one need to really worried and bothering about, ऑर्गेनिक मैटर की कमी है. आज अगर देखें, it is difficult to get a sufficient quantity of FYM. So how can we achieve the desired level of organic matter in our soil? So under such circumstances, hydroponic or high-tech farming or soilless farming is becoming one of the option and one of the solution for future. Not only that expectation, the growers' expectation, the producers' expectation, as well as the food demand, it is increasing. Every day, the feeding mouths are increasing. And we as a people, or we as a professional in agriculture feel it's our responsibility to ensure the food availability. It is our responsibilities, our duty, that our country should not go back to 60s when we were importing a lot of agri produce. Everybody is looking for more from less. So indirectly, the growers, they are looking for I don't know, my video has gone somewhere. Uh, every grower is looking for more return. And even the vision of our prime minister is also there, doubling the farming. And also, as a grower, everybody is looking for a quick result. And hydroponic is a technique which gives you a result quickly. Even whatever you are doing as a grower, it is going to give the outcome within 24 hours. So, why we have just something like discussed that output quality deteriorate हो रहा है, quality awareness बढ़ रहा है, willingness to pay हो रहा है, means that is the kind of a business opportunity is available. Agriculture resources are deteriorating और वो कम होते जा रहे हैं, and also लोगों की जो expectation है वो बढ़ती जा रही है, and इन सबको meet करने का potential hydroponic technique में है, and that's how the future is there. One of the World Bank estimates says around 80% of the total global population is going to concentrate in and around the urban area. And if you see that much of the population living in an urban area, so hydroponic is going to be one of the key technique for ensuring delivery of a quality produce. So next question comes very basic. Maybe some of you know, आपको कुछ लोगों को पता हो और कुछ को नहीं पता हो, बिकॉज सबसे पहले जब आप बात करते हैं हाइड्रोपोनिक्स की, सो हाइड्रोपोनिक में सभी कहते हैं जी बिना मिट्टी की खेती इज अ हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, और उसमें बहुत सारे मिथ्स भी होते हैं कि भाई जो केवल पानी में होता है वही हाइड्रोपोनिक्स होता है. सो ये जो नॉर्मल डेफिनेशन है, हाइड्रोपोनिक कम्स फ्रॉम द लैटिन लैंग्वेज एंड इट्स मीन वर्किंग विद द वाटर, हाइड्रोस एंड पोनस. एंड अगर हम बात करें, growing crop without soil is the basic definition for hydroponics, which everybody knows. But the story is not ending here. It is beyond. Beyond means hydroponic अगर आप देखो तो किस पार्ट से प्लांट के एसोसिएटेड होता है. अगर आप यहां पे देखें तो देयर आर समथिंग लाइक जो शूट होता है, जो हरा होता है, जो पत्ता आपका फोटोसिंथेसिस करता है, एक तो वो होता है, और एक होता है जड़ जो कि व्हाइट होती है, डिफरेंट कलर्स की भी हो सकती है, बट वो जो होती है आपका सप्लाई सोर्स होती है. एंड हाइड्रोपोनिक्स इज ओनली एसोसिएटेड विद द रूट. And you know, the root of a plant is mouth for any crop or supply source for any crop. अगर किसी का सप्लाई सोर्स स्ट्रांग होता है या माउथ हेल्दी होता है तो अल्टीमेटली उसकी हेल्थ, प्लांट हेल्थ भी अच्छी होती है. सो व्हाट अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इज हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, it is creating ideal microclimate around the root zone, that is a rhizosphere, is hydroponics. So hydroponics में कुछ और नहीं करते हैं, सिर्फ जड़ के आसपास का जो माइक्रोक्लाइमेट होता है. what all include in this microclimate? The moisture, the oxygen means air, the temperature, the nutrition, khana, these all, majorly these four things which contribute for root microclimate, and creating that, enabling the grower to create an ideal microclimate is hydroponic. The technique is hydroponics. So hydroponics is beyond. Soilless farming only is not hydroponic, it is beyond. What is creating ideal microclimate around the root zone is hydroponics. And दूसरा चीज, हाइड्रोपोनिक केवल जड़ से रिलेटेड है. So if you are having any kind of a myth, it is only technology which deals with the root and enable the grower to create ideal microclimate around the root zone. So एक बार समझने की भाई हमने जरूरत क्यों है, और दूसरा हमने ये देखा कि जी क्या है. अगला सवाल सभी के मन में आता है कि भाई हाउ दीज टू टेक्निक मीन्स ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग, जो आज किसान हमारा खेती कर रहा है, और यहां पे मैं जरूर बताना चाहूंगा कि दिस हाइड्रोपोनिक्स इज नॉट द सब्स्टिट्यूट फॉर ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग. I would not say that it is not a technology which farmers can adopt. Yes, they can, but abhi at this juncture, this is a technique which need a indigenization before the farmer should adopt. So let's try to understand mota mota jo difference hai, though it is something like a well established difference between these two techniques, but it is better to just discuss before moving forward. सो अगर हम बात करें ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग और इसमें डिफरेंस में, ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग में हवा, पानी, बीज, मिट्टी, लाइट, पैसे की जरूरत और एक ग्रोवर, ये सभी चीजों की जरूरत पड़ती है अगर हम खेती करना चाहते हैं ट्रेडिशनल। और अगर हाइड्रोपोनिक करना चाहते हैं, बाकी सभी चीज की जरूरत पड़ती है, केवल सॉइल इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड देयर। सो व्हाट द डिफरेंस बेसिकली, कि अगर ऐसी किसी मिट्टी में, ऐसी कहीं किसी जगह पे जहां पे कि खेती करने योग्य भूमि नहीं है, वहां पे अगर खेती करनी है, तो देन हाइड्रोपोनिक इज द आंसर फॉर दैट। सो द मेजर डिफरेंस इज एब्सेंस ऑफ सॉइल। बट एक जो डिफरेंस है कि मिट्टी ना होना, इट इज समथिंग making this technique such a precise that the grower need to be precise in their operation, means it required a high degree of skill. So सभी ने सुना है कि भाई मिट्टी जो होती है मां होती है। यस, इट इज मां होती है, बिकॉज इन ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग इफ द ग्रोवर इज कमिटिंग एनी मिस्टेक, कि ज्यादा खाद डाल दिया, ज्यादा पानी डाल दिया, कुछ और कर दिया, अल्टीमेटली जो मिट्टी होती है वो उस शॉक को एब्जॉर्ब करती है, एंड फाइनली जब वो उसकी कैपेसिटी, मिट्टी मां की कैपेसिटी के बियॉन्ड होता है, तभी वो क्रॉप पे रिफ्लेक्ट करता है। बट इन हाइड्रोपोनिक, बिकॉज द मदर इज मिसिंग, so you as a grower have a responsibility and accountability to act as a mother. You don't have a scope for committing any kind of a mistake. So that's how the major difference is. It required high degree of skill and precise application. एंड अगर हम ऑपरेशंस की बात करें तो टिलेज एंड वीडिंग ऑपरेशन यहाँ पे मिसिंग होता है। बट आजकल अभी कुछ फार्म्स में जाते हैं, इवन हाइड्रोपोनिक्स में भी वीड दिखने लगे हैं। लो लेवल ऑफ ऑटोमेशन होता है आपका ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग में, एंड हाइड्रोपोनिक इज वेरी हाई डिग्री ऑफ ऑटोमेशन। इवन सम ऑफ द फार्म इन डेवलप्ड कंट्री, they required a very less manpower only for harvesting and few of the operation, which is really crucial. As I mentioned, skill is really required for hydroponic. If I see like the qualitative and quantitative aspect, means कि क्वालिटी कैसा है प्रोड्यूस का और कितना पैदा हो रहा है, तो ट्रेडिशनल में ऑलवेज कम होता है, एंड हाइड्रोपोनिक में, हाईटेक फार्मिंग में ज्यादा होता है। बट कंडीशन अप्लाई, जैसे कि वो लिखा नहीं रहता एक छोटा सा स्टार बना के, कंडीशन अप्लाई इफ द ग्रोवर इज एफिशिएंट। अगर जो खेती कर रहा है वो अच्छे से खेती करेगा तो 10 गुना या 15 गुना या 20 गुना पैदावार भी होगी। बट अगर वो खेती ठीक से नहीं कर पा रहा है एंड एफिशिएंट ग्रोवर नहीं है, तो इवन ट्रेडिशनल फार्मिंग से भी कम प्रोडक्शन होता है। So we need to be very cautious on this. If we are opting for this technique, we need to be very specific. अभी तक हमने देखा कि सब खेती कहां से कहां तक कैसे चली, फिर उसके बाद कि भाई जरूरत क्यों पड़ी, फिर उसके बाद क्या है, फिर उसके बाद हमने देखा कि भाई व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दीज टू टाइप, क्योंकि सभी, एक ट्रेडिशनल चल रहा है, एक हाइड्रोपोनिक चल रहा है, तो डिफरेंस क्या है। अगला जो मुख्य मेन इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट ऑफ दिस हाइड्रोपोनिक इज डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, क्योंकि इसमें भी बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन है लोगों को कि हाइड्रोपोनिक्स क्या है। सो लेट्स ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड as per my own definition or my own classification of hydroponics. So hydroponic को अगर हम classify करते हैं तो one based on the growing condition, second as per the nutrient circulation, and third as per the light requirement. These are three criteria based on which we can classify hydroponics. So अगर growing condition की बात करते हैं तो growing condition में soilless hydroponic होती है जिसमें कि growing media होता है. ग्रोइंग मीडिया मींस जिसमें कि कोई मीडिया यूज करा जाता है क्रॉप को ग्रो करने के लिए, लाइक एनी मींस कोकोपीट इज अ वेल नोन ग्रोइंग मीडिया. सो लोगों को पता है कि कोकोपीट इज वेल एडॉप्टेड. एंड इवन अगर हम किसी फॉरेन कंट्रीज या डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज या कूल कंट्रीज में जाते हैं, रॉक वुल इज अनदर ग्रोइंग मीडिया, लीका बॉल इज अ ग्रोइंग मीडिया. सो ऐसा कोई भी मीडिया जो कि उस क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन सिस्टम में न्यूट्रिशन में इंटरफियरेंस नहीं कर रहा है, मींस इट इज नॉट इंपैक्टिंग एनी वे द न्यूट्रिएंट्स, और it is an inert in nature, means not having any potential for supplying plant nutrition. So इनर्ट मीडिया ही आपका ग्रोइंग मीडिया बन सकता है. बहुत सारी चीजें हो रही हैं, वर्मी कंपोस्ट भी यूज किया जा रहा है. सम ऑफ द गाइज आर यूजिंग इवन व्हाट शुड आई से दैट ऑर्गेनिक मैटर ऑल्सो, इवन मैं भूल ही जा रहा हूँ, लिक्विड, द ब्लैक लिक्विड, इवन बायोवीटा, सीवीड, ह्यूमिक एसिड, ये सब चीजें, एंड इवन ट्राइकोडर्मा लोग यूज कर रहे हैं. So all these things people are using, but in hydroponic, these all are not allowed because we as a grower not allowing growth of any kind of a microorganism. So coming back to classification of hydroponics, so soilless hydroponic where we are using growing media. So like if I talk about grow bag, and even there is something like a single grow bag, plastic grow bag, and even the grow bag pallets are there, then trenches are there, then troughs are there, like these are the maple trough, these are a Dutch bucket, these are also Dutch bucket, and there are grow bags also, these are pallet of cocoa bag. So all these different systems are soilless hydroponics. Okay, the second category is nutrient film technique, where if you see, this is most of the guys have already seen in a YouTube channels. So nutrient film technique is the second technique in if we classify as a growing condition, and third is a deep water culture. अब डिफरेंस अगर इन तीनों में देखें तो पहला सॉइललेस में केवल ग्रोइंग मीडिया इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है, दूसरा न्यूट्रिएंट फिल्म टेक्निक एंड डीप वाटर, दोनों में न्यूट्रिएंट सॉल्यूशन केवल पानी में ग्रो किया जाता है. ओनली डिफरेंस इज, as the name suggested, deep water culture, the depth of water, the thickness of water is much higher in deep water culture, and as nutrient film technique, it's a very thin layer of a nutrient is always passing through in the grow channels. अब अगला सवाल ये आता है कि भाई ये डिफरेंट तरीके आपने बता दिए, इन तरीकों को हम कैसे सेलेक्ट करें? अगर मुझे करना है तो मैं कैसे सेलेक्ट करूं कि कौन सा सिस्टम मेरे लिए अच्छा है? So based on the crop nature, the microclimatic condition, one has to select right growing system. Like अगर कोई भी crop having wider leaf area or higher mass or volume of organic so the root, और वो लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन का है, तो टोटल रूट बायोमास अगर ज्यादा है, इट्स मीन दैट क्रॉप रिक्वायर्ड, द रूट ऑफ दैट क्रॉप रिक्वायर्ड हायर कंसेंट्रेशन ऑफ डिसॉल्व्ड ऑक्सीजन. बिकॉज जड़ जो है केवल खाना खाती है, सांस लेती है, पत्ती सांस भी लेती है और फोटोसिंथेसिस भी करती है. सो इन दैट केस ऐसी सभी फसलें जो कि लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन की होती हैं, ज्यादा लीफ एरिया होता है, बिकॉज एक बेसिक साइंस कहता है कि जितना लीफ एरिया होता है उसी के प्रोपोर्शन में रूट बायोमास भी या रूट वॉल्यूम भी होता है. सो अगर उसका रूट वॉल्यूम या पत्ते का बाहर से, क्योंकि आप जड़ तो उखाड़ के देखोगे नहीं, बट पत्ता अगर ज्यादा है, तो ऐसी क्रॉप जो कि 3 महीने से ज्यादा होती है, दे डू बेटर इन सॉइललेस हाइड्रोपोनिक्स। वाई? बिकॉज उसमें जो छोटे छोटे पोर होते हैं, उसमें टोटल वॉल्यूम ऑफ वाटर is higher, and even the total dissolved oxygen is higher, and that's how the oxygen requirement of those plants only can be met by soilless hydroponics. अगर आप इन जैसे क्रॉप, वाइन क्रॉप या लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन क्रॉप, दे ऑल लव दिस सॉइललेस हाइड्रोपोनिक्स। सो चाहे टमाटर हो, शिमला मिर्च हो, कुकुम्बर हो, even strawberries also doing better in soilless hydroponics. So अगर ये सब क्रॉप आपको ग्रो करना है, तो soilless hydroponics में जाना पड़ेगा। और ऐसी कोई क्रॉप जो शॉर्ट ड्यूरेशन की हो और लेस लीफ एरिया हो, मींस लेस रूट बायोमास हो, तो वो क्रॉप आप न्यूट्रिएंट फिल्म टेक्निक या डीप वाटर कल्चर में करेंगे। अब ये अगला सवाल ये आता है कि इन दोनों में से कैसे सेलेक्ट करेंगे। सो ऐसा कोई भी माइक्रो क्लाइमेट जहां पे कि क्लाइमेट का एक्सट्रीम, बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी, बहुत ज्यादा ठंडी, बहुत ज्यादा सर्दी, और इवन बरसात भी होती है, दो बरसात कॉमर्शियल हाइड्रोपोनिक में उतना इंपैक्ट नहीं करती है, बट बेसिकली जहां पे आपका टेम्परेचर वेरिएशन ज्यादा होता है, ऐसी जगहों पे डीप वाटर कल्चर इज ऑलवेज परफॉर्मिंग बेटर, बिकॉज उसमें अल्टीमेट पर्पस, इफ यू अगेन रिमेंबर, क्रिएटिंग अ आइडियल माइक्रोक्लाइमेट अराउंड द रूट जोन, एंड एक आइडियल माइक्रोक्लाइमेट में टेम्परेचर भी था। तो टेम्परेचर मेंटेन जो होता है, अगर ज्यादा वॉल्यूम है वाटर का, तो टेम्परेचर का फ्लक्चुएशन का इंपैक्ट उस पर कम पड़ता है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट दिस डीप वाटर कल्चर is a preferred hydroponic technique in areas जहां पे कि ज्यादा टेम्परेचर में वेरिएशन होता है, और जहां पे स्मूथ या एक स्टैग्नेटेड टेम्परेचर होता है, ऐसी जगह पे न्यूट्रिएंट फिल्म टेक्निक इज ऑलवेज अ प्रिफर्ड टेक्निक ऑफ हाइड्रोपोनिक। बट डीप वाटर कल्चर में एल्गी फॉर्मेशन इज अ मेजर चैलेंज, वी आर स्टिल स्ट्रगलिंग, जिससे कि आपका टोटल डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन लेवल कम हो जाता है। सो पीपल इन एरियाज विद एक्सट्रीम टेम्परेचर वेरिएशन, they are using this nutrient film technique with an addition of cooling down the temperature, because temperature of water, बिकॉज जो रिसर्कुलेटिंग पानी होता है उसका टेम्परेचर कम करने के लिए चिलर लगाते हैं, बिकॉज जो ऑक्सीजन, डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन एंड टेम्परेचर का रिलेशन होता है, दोनों के आपस में 36 के आंकड़े हैं। मींस जैसे ही टेम्परेचर बढ़ेगा, डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन लेवल नीचे चला जाएगा, और डिजॉल्व ऑक्सीजन लेवल नीचे चला जाएगा तो आपकी क्रॉप रूट मरने लग जाएगी, एंड इट विल गिव यू अ सिम्टम लाइक रूट रॉट। जबकि वो रूट रॉट नहीं होता है, इट इज अ लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस लैक ऑफ ऑक्सीजन आपकी जड़ मरने लग जाती है। So that's the way you can just select your ideal or the best kind of a hydroponic system for your project. So as per the nutrient circulation, we can classify this hydroponic system into two. One is an open system and the second is a closed system. ओपन सिस्टम वो है जिसमें कि आपका जो न्यूट्रिएंट सॉल्यूशन आप फील्ड में भेज रहे हैं, वो वहीं पे लीच होके ड्रेन आउट हो जाता है, वो वापस उसमें आपके टैंक में नहीं आता है। क्लोज सिस्टम में क्या है कि जो पानी या जो फर्टिगेशन सिस्टम, जो द fertigation or a nutrient water you're supplying to your crop, it will come back or recirculate to your tank. And after adjusting the EC pH of that solution, again, you will repump that one. So closed system is more efficient because there is zero loss of nutrition, 100% nutrient efficiency, but open system is little less efficient, but easy to handle because उसमें आपका जो कॉम्प्लिकेसी होती है न्यूट्रिएंट इम्बैलेंस की, वो आपको नहीं देखनी पड़ती, बिकॉज एज अ ग्रोवर यू ओनली हैव टू मेंटेन योर स्टॉक सॉल्यूशन, एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू मेंटेन योर न्यूट्रिशनल बैलेंस। लाइट रिक्वायरमेंट के बेस पे अगर बोले तो देयर इज नेचुरल लाइट में हाइड्रोपोनिक्स होता है, एंड आर्टिफिशियल लाइट में भी हाइड्रोपोनिक्स होता है। सो दीज आर द थ्री वेज ऑफ क्लासिफाइंग हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, डिफरेंट हाइड्रोपोनिक टाइप्स। अगर हम बात करें क्रॉप्स इन हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, तो अभी तक इस्टेब्लिश कंट्रीज जो देखा जाए, टमाटर, लीफी, कुकुम्बर एंड पेपर। पेपर में अगर देखें तो मिर्च में आपका मेजरली शिमला मिर्च ही आता है, विच good number of growers adopting and they are doing on a commercial scale. But अभी इंडिया की बात करें तो इंडिया पे अभी only some of the commercial farms they started achieving what they are looking for. अगला सवाल ये आता है कि साहब अब हमको ये भी बता दीजिए कि इस हाइड्रोपोनिक्स में कौन कौन सी फसलें ग्रो कर सकते हैं। तो अगर हम बात करें फसलें कौन सी ग्रो कर सकते हैं, तो उसमें कुछ ऐसी फसलें हैं जो कि इतने दिन से लगातार लोग इसमें कर रहे हैं। तो दिस क्रॉप्स आर एस्टैब्लिश्ड क्रॉप। Somehow I have to see. There is I'm not able to see myself somehow. So video is, I know, I don't know. I cannot see where I am. So anyway, uh, what are those crops we can grow in hydroponic? Established crops like, yes, I mentioned cucumber, tomato, capsicum, leafy may, all leafies, lettuce, basil, kale, arugula, rocket, spinach, name any herb, they all are grown in hydroponics. Flower, yeah, even roses are some of the crops which are even grown much before your vegetables. Gerbera, lilium, all these means introduction of hydroponic started from flowers, but now the moment it enters in your food crops, it is gaining popularity. There are some trial crops like essential bearing oil crop, like just your damask rose, means the rose which is having essential oil, jasmine, saffron, medicinal crop, herbs, fruits. People are doing a lot of trials because you guys can see, कई बार न्यूज आती रहती है, कई बार आपके सोशल मीडिया पे आते रहते हैं कि भाई किसी ने केसर उगा लिया, किसी ने कोई मेडिसिनल क्रॉप कर लिया, कोई फ्रूट क्रॉप कर लिया, लाइक नाउ पीपल आर in India, people are focusing on blueberry crop to be considered. So there are some crops which you can consider, and basic philosophy on that कि ऐसी कोई crop जिसकी बेच के आप अच्छा पैसा कमा सकते हैं, that crop can be grown in hydroponics and considered to be grown in hydroponics, and based on something like a outcome and a result, you can just decide whether we should go for this crop or not. But the bottom line is any crop can be grown in hydroponic crop production system. कि कोई भी क्रॉप आप हाइड्रोपोनिक ग्रोइंग सिस्टम में उगा सकते हैं. Again, I'll reconnect. Creating a better microclimate around the root zone is hydroponic. If technique is creating a better microclimate or efficient microclimate around the root of plant, so as an agri professional, we only need to establish the crop production protocol for that crop. And because if you can develop that protocol कि खेती कैसे करनी है, आप कोई भी फसल ग्रो कर सकते हो, even believe me, the orchard crops also. बट ये नहीं है कि आपको अगर आम का पेड़ लगाना है तो आप वो एनएफटी में लगाओगे या डीडब्ल्यूसी में. उसके लिए डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ ग्रोइंग सिस्टम एस्टैब्लिश करना पड़ेगा. एंड ओनली एडवांटेज व्हाट यू आर गोइंग टू गेट as a grower, you will have 100% control on your growing system, and you can play with the quality of fruit even. Nutritional fortification is quite possible in hydroponic, and hydroponic technique provide an opportunity and something like ability to fortify your crop with specific nutrient. And we tested that by fortifying spinach with iron. Advantages, I should means everybody knows that efficiency, resource utilization, better control का बात अगर हम बोलें यहाँ पे, तो हाइड्रोपोनिक एक ऐसी खेती की पद्धति है जिसमें a grower who is managing is having 100% control, and यहां तक है कि within 24 hours, whatever you are doing as a grower, you can see that what is your plant saying, whether your plant is happy or your plant is not happy. The plant will tell you within 24 hours. Better return? Yes, there is a possibility to even double your farm production. But again, the condition applied. If you are an efficient grower, then only. Otherwise, you can't. Fast growth, yes, definitely. The crop which takes a longer time in production cycle, even in lettuce also, if you see it takes around something like of 60 days, something 40 to 60 days. But in hydroponics, 28 days is an efficient grower can produce the leafy lettuce. No weed, superior quality, and even you can control the quality. Like if you see the sweetness, there's a nutrient link with the sweetness, and if you want to improve the sweetness or pungency, तीखी मिर्च या मीठी मिर्च, अगर कैप्सिकम ग्रो कर रहे हो, मीठी मिर्च ग्रो करना है, तो उसमें मिठास भी बढ़ा सकते हो, उसमें तीखापन भी बढ़ा सकते हो, just playing with your nutritional recipe. Grown in any condition, limited growing area is required because you have an option to go vertical, which is the target of future कि unit area से production बढ़ाना है. Disadvantage, high capital cost. Initially अभी पैसा ज्यादा लग रहा है, but Indian condition में only because still indigenization of technique is not yet done. हाई स्किल रिक्वायर्ड, यस. अगर आपके पास स्किल नहीं है तो एक जो बाहर मिट्टी में खेती कर रहा उससे भी कम प्रोडक्शन आएगा. Lack of buffering agent, yes, soil is missing, so you need to be a very cautious. Your mother is not there. Only quality input, yes. You means you cannot compromise for any kind of a nutrient quality or input quality, because based on that you are going to get your output. So only use the branded product, the branded fertilizer, the branded pesticide, if at all required. Pesticide is not required if you are an efficient grower. There are some myths I would say, because I need to give you some time, 15 minutes for question answer. So I'll just skip this one. Scenario is very bright. Means future is going to be high-tech or urban farming. Only thing is a systematic approach for these projects are really important. And अगर मैं बोलूं कि project success क्यों नहीं हो रहा है इंडिया के अंदर, the major challenge what we are facing is जो आपके कंपोनेंट ऑफ हाइड्रोपोनिक्स की मैं बात करता हूं कि देयर आर टू कंपोनेंट, वन इज अ हार्डवेयर एंड अदर इज अ सॉफ्टवेयर. Hardware, all the infrastructure, including the greenhouse, the growing system, the fogging system, the irrigation system, any other kind of a hardware, that is comes under hardware, the infrastructure part. The second is the software. What is software? How to grow your crop. Which crop, what variety, when to plant, when to transplant, what irrigation schedule, what fertilizer combination, and how you can just something like ensure the quality produced. So all those means what temperature, what humidity, all these things comes under software. अब जो प्रोजेक्ट सक्सेस का कंट्रीब्यूटर है, 80% कम्स फ्रॉम द सॉफ्टवेयर. हाउ टू ग्रो योर क्रॉप. आपने बहुत अच्छा सा मर्सिडीज खरीद ली और आपको चलाना नहीं आता है, then you will not be able to succeed. So any hydroponic project, the success lies on the person who is handling the project, the person who is growing the crop, person who is setting the crop production protocol, means setting the software right. Agar software right aapne kar liya, then definitely success is sure. So this I need not to share. It is expanding, and in India also, this is going to be a sizable market in future, provided we need to ensure the required skill, required technique, and indigenization of this technique. These are some challenges which I would not suggest, means say it's very, very tough. So limited information available. Yes, definitely. Information on these techniques are expanding. But initially, there was no information. Now information is there. But what is right, what is wrong is somehow difficult to identify. Skill resource are limited. Yes, जो सॉफ्टवेयर वाला पार्ट हैंडल करने वाले स्किल रिसोर्सेज हैं उनकी कमी है. Initial cost is high, but not in the countries like Europe and US, because the kind of return they are getting against that, the capital investment is not that high. In India, the product innovation is also missing. Product innovation means if you will grow any crop and you will just compete with some of these traditional farmers, or you will sell your product produced as a commodity, you will not be able to realize the price. So start your thinking that the product, what the customer, what you want to sell, what you want to produce. So first what you want to sell. First thing, what is the customer's requirement, and design that customer requirement into product. And after designing your product, then you need to just think for that what hydroponic crop or what hydroponic project we should go for. So here I like to just share a brief understanding, or based on my own experience, how one should approach for any hydroponic commercial project. So start from the market study, what the market is looking for, what the customer is looking for, what the pain point of the market, what the pain point of a customer. Based on that, you decide your crop. That okay, these are the 4 crop I can shortlist, and these are the crops which can fetch me the value. एंड उसके बाद उस क्रॉप की रिक्वायरमेंट कि उसको कितना पानी, उसको खाद क्या, बीज, दवा. एंड देन वंस यू डिसाइड दैट ओके इसको इतना टेम्परेचर चाहिए, मैं इस साइकिल में ग्रो करूंगा, I need to maintain this kind of a microclimate, means 25-degree temperature, 60% humidity, good air circulation, with having an option for opening and closing, with fogging system and all. तब जाके आप हार्डवेयर अपना फाइनलाइज करो. और एक बार हार्डवेयर फाइनलाइज हो जाए, देन यू गो ऑप्ट फॉर अ पायलट प्रोजेक्ट, छोटा प्रोजेक्ट लगाओ, एंड देन उस प्रोजेक्ट को वैलिडेट करो. वैलिडेट करने के बाद इफ it is working and you are able to develop your crop production protocol, you set everything, then only launch your commercial project. So these were some of these. I will skip now. I think I'll stop here only, and I would invite the questions because I have a lot of things to share with you guys, but I'll prefer not to do that. Satisfying your query is more important than just pouring a lecture on you. So I'll just ask the organizers for allowing people to ask questions. Ravi Prakash. So organizer, can you just allow Ravi Prakash to speak? He's having some question. Can I do ask to unmute? Yeah. Ravi, can you unmute yourself and ask a question? So organizer, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah, Ravinder.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ravinder. बताइए.
Sir, as I am the student of the BSc Agriculture Honors and I am in the final year, so we have no knowledge about the hydroponic, how the crops were grown, and it's like how how we can start up like we grow the crops, and so how we enhance our skills related to hydroponics. Can you suggest anything?
देखो नॉलेज कहीं से कोई लेके नहीं आता, हम भी नहीं लेके आए थे. व्हेन द फर्स्ट I've been asked that whether are you interested to work for hydroponic project. At that time हमें वो लिटरल मीनिंग जो शाब्दिक अर्थ होता है हाइड्रोपोनिक का वो भी नहीं पता था। और आज आई कैन से कि एटलीस्ट थोड़ा थोड़ा तो जानते हैं। सो स्टार्ट लर्निंग। एंड सबसे बड़ा अच्छा तरीका ये होता है कि अगर आप अपने से एक छोटा यूनिट लगाओ। एंड वन ऑफ माय पार्टिसिपेंट ही मैनेज टू डेवलप अ स्मॉल हाइड्रोपोनिक यूनिट जस्ट स्पेंडिंग $1,000। 1,000 में लगा के वो 10-20 प्लांट का करके। एंड self learning is the most important thing. And for any kind of a query I'm always there. So हमारा जो सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म है खेतीबाड़ी वाला के नाम से अगर आप ढूंढेंगे तो you will get me. And I'm expecting that you guys are going to subscribe my channel also. Yeah, Ravinder, are you happy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Please a mind. Yeah. Who is next?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Uh, Sir, I'm Jivanti, student of BSc Agriculture from Uttarakhand.
Yeah,
Sir,
Jivanti.
firstly, I really want to say thank you so much, sir, for this
Please
great
a
and
mind.
informative session. Thank you so much.
Please a mind.
So, sir, my query is my first question is, sir, what is the major difference between the rural farming and urban farming? And
Mm-hmm.
my second question is, sir, is it possible to start hydroponic technology in rural areas? If it is possible, so how we can promote the hydroponic project in rural areas? And sir, my fourth question is, sir,
Mm-hmm.
if we are using coco peat for the crop production, it
Mm-hmm.
is also a soilless farming. And sir, if we are growing crops in hydroponic technology, so it is also a soilless farming. So what is the basic and major difference between both?
जीवंती आई स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द रिवर्स। द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन का आंसर जो आप कह रहे हो कि वो सॉइललेस फार्मिंग इज हाइड्रोपोनिक्स कैसे है। सो देखो,
Yes, sir.
अल्टीमेटली जो हाइड्रोपोनिक्स है उसमें जो पानी के साथ न्यूट्रिशन जाता है दैट इज हाइड्रोपोनिक्स। ठीक है।
Yes,
कोई भी न्यूट्रिशन में दखलंदाजी नहीं होनी चाहिए। अगर मैं कोकोपीट की बात कर रहा हूं या कोई ऐसा मीडियम की बात कर रहा हूं जिसमें कि न्यूट्रिएंट सप्लाई करने की कैपेसिटी नहीं है, तो अल्टीमेटली पौधे को खाना तो पानी के साथ ही मिला ना, न्यूट्रिएंट सॉल्यूशन के साथ ही।
yes,
So
sir.
whether it is NFT, whether it is DWC, whether it is soilless hydroponic, they all are hydroponic type of hydroponics. ठीक है।
Yes, yes,
सेकेंड
sir.
क्वेश्चन का आंसर जो आप अगर हम बात करते हैं कि आप कह रहे थे कि इसको हम फार्मर के पास लेके जाएं। इफ यू जस्ट समथिंग लाइक गॉन थ्रू विथ माय लेक्चर, मैंने उसमें बोला हुआ है कि ये दो डिफरेंट टाइप की फार्मिंग है और ये आपस में एक दूसरे को एनेबल कर रहे हैं। बिकॉज जो किसान कर रहा है हमारा, वो ज्यादातर फोकस कर रहा है उसमें आपका ग्रेन वाली फसलों में, जैसे अनाज जो होता है गेहूं चावल पल्सेस एंड वो, तो ऑल दीज क्रॉप्स आर वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड। जो ये खेती है हाइड्रोपोनिक्स, इसको कंफ्यूज
Yes, sir.
मत हो। ये खेती शहर के लोगों के लिए है, ये खेती वेजिटेबल्स के लिए है, ये खेती आपके जो हाई वैल्यू वाली क्रॉप्स है उसके लिए है। एंड जीवंती, ये एक
Yes, sir.
एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हो आप, क्योंकि अफ्रीका जैसी कंट्री जो है अपना प्रोडक्शन नहीं कर पाती है गेहूं चावल का भी।
Yes, sir.
ऐसी जगह पे अगर मैं एक बार सिस्टम लगा के गेहूं चावल, इज पॉसिबल, जैसा मैंने बोला कि कोई भी क्रॉप हाइड्रोपोनिक में ग्रो की जा सकती है। हाइड्रोपोनिक में कोई भी क्रॉप कर सकते हो, गेहूं धान चावल सब कुछ कर सकते हो। ठीक है, प्रोवाइडेड
Yes,
उसका कैसे ग्रो करना है वो आपको देखना पड़ेगा। बट इन इंडियन सिनेरियो डोंट मिक्स दीज टू, इनको अलग अलग ही रहने दो। उनको अनाज पैदा करने दो, अर्बन फार्मिंग वालों को ग्रीन्स पैदा करने दो। ठीक है। बट यस,
yes, sir.
हैविंग सेड दैट, मैं ये जरूर कहूंगा कि इंडिजिनाइजेशन करना इस टेक्निक का जरूरी है, क्योंकि 90% ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स आर बीइंग इंपोर्टेड एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट वो बड़ा महंगा है। अब इंडिजिनाइजेशन मतलब देशीकरण करने का। अब ग्रो बैग की बात करते हैं, राइजो बैग, पॉली बैग, ये अरे घर के पास में जो बोरा रखा हुआ उसको यूज करो ना। और ग्रोइंग मीडिया की जैसे मैंने बात किया, तो ग्रोइंग मीडिया में भाई धान की भूसी भी यूज कर सकते हो, बालू भी यूज कर सकते हो, ऐसा कोई चीज, जब भी मैं बात करते हैं कि ग्रोइंग मीडिया ऐसा होना चाहिए जिसमें कि कोई न्यूट्रिएंट सप्लाई करने की कैपेसिटी नहीं होनी चाहिए। तो बालू इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द इनर्ट मीडिया। इवन जो आपका आरी की दुकान पे वो नहीं कटता है, लकड़ी का बुरादा जो होता है, दैट इज
Yes,
ऑल्सो
sir.
इनर्ट। तो ये जरूरी नहीं है कि कोकोपीट ही लेके चले हैं। तो यही सब चीजें को टेस्ट करके, यही सब चीजों को वैलिडेट करके, आसपास के पास का जो भी चीज अवेलेबल है उससे इस टेक्निक को आप अपने यहाँ अडॉप्ट करिए, एंड देन यू आर गोइंग टू गेट। तो स्टार्ट फ्रॉम योर ओन, कि अपने घर में चलो हम 4 पौधे से टमाटर लगा के ट्राई करते हैं। ठीक
Yes,
है।
sir. Yes, sir.
आई थिंक आई आंसर टू क्वेश्चन। एनीथिंग लेफ्ट?
No, sir. Thank you so much. I'm
प्लेजेंट।
satisfied.
या या
Hello,
रवि।
sir. Good
या
evening.
गुड इवनिंग।
Sir, it was a great session. I have two queries, sir. The
श्योर।
first is like we can see there is a increased returns in hydroponics than traditional farming. So can we say that the input we give in hydroponics in every aspect it is more efficient than traditional farming?
यस इट इज। भाई आप रिसोर्सेज की बात करो ना, रिसोर्सेज में क्या है? पहला रिसोर्स है मैन पावर। सो एक आदमी जो है फावड़ा चला रहा है वर्सेस वो जाके ग्लास निकाल रहा है और एक 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 टेबल पे काम कर रहा है, तो उसकी एफिशिएंसी ऑटोमेटिकली बढ़ जाएगी। एक ग्रीन हाउस के अंदर जाके काम कर रहा है वर्सेस वो धूप में काम कर रहा है, तो बाय डिफॉल्ट उसकी एक ह्यूमन रिसोर्स की बढ़ गई। दूसरा, आप जो एफिशिएंसी की बात करते हैं, इनपुट की बात करते हैं, तो इनपुट पे जो फर्टिलाइजर आप डालते हैं, अगर आपको पता हो, इफ यू आर स्टूडेंट, जो यूरिया की एफिशिएंसी है 20 से 30% है। सो मतलब 1 किलो जो डालते हो उसका 200 ग्राम ही आपके पौधे को मिलता है। बट यहाँ पे जो भी, अब आई एम यूजिंग नेम ऑफ यूरिया, डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज, यूरिया कैन नॉट बी यूज इन हाइड्रोपोनिक्स। यूरिया कभी नहीं यूज कर सकते आप हाइड्रोपोनिक में। जितने भी सॉइल ग्रेड फर्टिलाइजर वो कभी अप्लाई करने का सोचना भी नहीं हाइड्रोपोनिक्स में। हाइड्रोपोनिक्स में क्या होता है, कोई भी वाटर सॉल्युबल ट्रिपल आप कैल्शियम नाइट्रेट ले लो, आपने जितना डाला वो उतना पौधे को ही मिला ना, कहीं वेस्टेज तो हुआ नहीं। सो 100% एफिशिएंसी। Okay, so whatever the resources you are utilizing in hydroponic as compared to traditional farming, the efficiency is much higher than your traditional farming. Okay?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Due to shortage of time, we have to conclude the session. But before
Sure.
concluding this session, I must say that hydroponics will transform Indian agriculture in gaining interest and recognition in very next few years. Sir,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking your time from your busy schedule and extend your support to our participants. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure mine. Thank you. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm audible to you.
Yeah.
So, good evening, sir. Let's move towards the second session of Krishi Manthan. Sir, Dr. Snehal Datakar, welcomes you to 30 Days Winter School International Training Program on behalf of Just Agriculture Group. But before starting this session, I would like to introduce you, sir, to our participants. So, dear participants, our today's guest is Dr. Suhas Vani, former Director, Research Program, Asia at AgriSat. Sir is an international consultant from Asian Development Bank, Manila, International Fund for Agriculture Development, Rome, Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, REP, Bangkok. Sir has completed his doctoral program from the Department of Agricultural Microbiology from University of Agriculture, Dharwad, and started his career as assistant professor from US Dhar. Sir also worked as a visiting professor in the Department of Soil Science at University of Alberta, Canada. Then, Sir also served as jury for JSW Times of India Earth Care Awards, then members of Unilever then member of Sustainable Agriculture, advisory board member of Sustainable Agriculture, then board member of Heirloom Company. Sir has published more than 650 research articles in renowned research journals. Sir is soil scientist by training, but over the past year, Sir have transformed himself from lab to landscape scale. Currently working in a consortium to solve ground problem of smallholders. Sir is internationally recognized by Government of India, China, and Vietnam by in achievement of scaling up benefits of farmer. The scaling up project benefited millions of farmers in Asia and Africa through sustainable agriculture, efficient water management from improving rural development. Last but not the least, Sir has superheaded number of strategic papers for the Prime Minister office and also crafted the pilot program for doubling farmers' income in the state of Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh. So I welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you. As indicated, I am talking on the glorious journey of agriculture from ship to mouth to overflowing godowns since freedom. I hope you are aware about that in 1960s we were looking for the ship from USA or Canada to come, and now basically we are self-sufficient and we are able to provide the food to the other countries also. So with this sort of information, we need to look at what are the challenges we have faced and how we have moved from ship to mouth to overflowing godowns since freedom. If you look at the glorious India before invasions and colonization, basically education is the process of facilitating learning or the acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, beliefs, and habits. Educational methods include teaching, training, storytelling, discussions, and directed research. It can take place in formal or informal settings, and the world's first university was established at Takshashila in 700 before Christ. That means you have to remember the glorious part of India before invasions and colonization. So we have the glorious past basically of learnings, and India was the powerhouse of age as such as you. Sorry, what happened? It's not moving. Okay. Uh, so if you look at traditional water harvesting in India, there are for each state there are different ways of harvesting water, either from land or from the constructed houses. And you know that in Rajasthan, basically they depend on minimum rainfall which they receive, but throughout the year they have the drinking water with them. And that is because of the kundis, what you are seeing in the left side, bottom side. Same way, in the agricultural lands, khadins are there in Rajasthan, where from upstream areas the water is collected, and during Rabi, the water is left to the downstream areas, and then the Rabi crops like wheat or gram are planted as such. What we have learned or adopted during invasions and colonization, we learned slavery, how to surrender, developed inferior complex for being brown, how to become clerks and support foreign bosses. Chalta hai attitude, whatever it comes, take care of that. My Bap Sarkar will take care. No accountability. All outside foreign things are good. How to pull down Indian cullings. These are the things which we have learned from the invasions and the colonization. But after the freedom, India is marching ahead to become the global power, and we have done well in several fields: education, agriculture, innovations, health, digital technologies, defense requirements, banking, housing, science and technology, poverty reduction, transport, sports, space science, renewable energy, etc., which you all are viewing every day, and you should be lucky that you have born in the independent India, which is marching ahead to become the global power. If we talk of ship to mouth situation in India, let me tell you the history that in 1949 the Indian food situation was as difficult as in the 60s, and the foreign exchange position even worse. In November that year, Mr. Nehru made his first visit to the US amidst the tremendous welcome. But US got infuriated uh, because of the our comments on American bombings of Hanoi in the course of the Vietnam War. The irascible Texan put food shipments on such a tight leash that India literally lived from ship to mouth. What annoyed New Delhi the most was that the US had tried to use food aid as a policy lever. Late Prime Minister Mr. Shastri called on people in India to observe fast on every Monday across the India to overcome food shortages. In 1960, the first agricultural university was established at Pantnagar, followed by Punjab Agricultural University in 1962, and currently we have 63 state agricultural universities, 3 central universities, and 4 deemed universities are in India dealing with the agriculture as such. If we look into the situation of this sort of situation, you have to bear with me because I am having a poor connection and it takes time to change the slide as such. And we have moved from ship to mouth situation. And as you know that last year, India has produced 316 million tons of food grains as compared to the situation of 285 million tons in the year of 1920 as such. And all this has happened because of our annadatas and the research scientists, the extension workers, and the policymakers as such. And that is where we have to say thank you to our policymakers, the researchers, the farmers, to whom we call now Annadatas as such. And this is what basically is required for India. And as you have heard in the earlier lecture about the culture which is using without soil, that is hydroponics, we have to learn and move ahead with that sort of situation. Indian situation is very unique as we have 142 million hectare arable land and it is cultivated by 145 million farming families. That means per hectare per family our land holding is less than 0.9 hectare as such. Out of 145 million farm families, 85% of farmers are small and marginal. That means they have less than 2 hectares. The large farmers above 5 hectares are hardly 4 to 5%. That means our challenges are entirely different. Second thing of Indian agriculture is that we have from semi-arid arid tropics to humid tropics weather in the country. Minimum rainfall of 186 millimeter is at in Rajasthan, and we have maximum rainfall in the world in the thing which was earlier Cherrapunji, but now it is Moisanaram, and this one is basically the situation which makes India a varied situation of growing any crop in the country, and that's what is the uniqueness of the Indian agriculture. Second thing you have to remember, sorry, my slides are not coming up because of the poor connectivity, but please note that our Indian situation is also difficult situation because anything we have to communicate to the farmers, we have to reach to 145 million farmers. And by worst thing which could happen in the country, that 51% of our farmers are not receiving any so-called extension support for the farmers as such. And under such situation, the government machinery, which is supposed to be the Department of Agriculture, KVKs, and so on and so forth, are able to reach to only 12% of the farmers in the country. And this data is not collected by any scientist or any university or any civil society organization. This is the data collected by the National Sample Survey, and it is a government recorded data which is basically we are relying on as such. And that's where our challenge is basically that how we are going to reach to 145 million farmers as such. As you know, the India has the largest challenges in the 21st century. We are already number one in the country, in the world for the population now. We have overtaken China already in 2023. Second, our water availability per capita is a challenge as such because in 1951-52, per capita water availability was 5,000 cubic meter per annum. Now we have joined the league of water scarce countries because our water availability per capita is less than 1500 cubic meter per annum. And that is a challenge which we have to really face the things as such. And I am trying to just come to the situation of sharing the 1 minute. Just are you able to see it now? Okay. Our agriculture or Atmanirbhar Bharat is important because 85% of our 65% of our population is the rural population, and our agriculture GDP is only 10 to 15 to 16% as such. And in such a scenario, 65% of the population getting the income of 15 to 16% of the GDP means there is a rural urban divide. And as you know that already, that no one wants to do the farming in the country as such. And that is where the challenge is, because the rural income per capita is 41,000 rupees, whereas the urban counterpart income is almost 1 lakh rupees per annum. However, our market outlook depends on three M's, that is market, middlemen, and monsoon. And as you know that we have the largest arable land in the country, but still we have a lot of challenges for the farmers as such. We also have 46 soil types of the 60 soil types in the world, along with 20 agroclimatic zones varying from arid to humid tropics to hot arid deserts. And globally, as you know that India has the rainfed agriculture, which is about 50% at the moment, and globally rainfed agriculture is 80%. That means when our challenge is water management as a major challenge, because our per capita water availability has reduced dramatically, we are in the water scarce region, and on other hand, our incomes are increasing, our population is increasing, and as you know that when the income increases, people food choices change, they become non-vegetarian from the vegetarian diet. There is more wastage of food because of taste, color choices, so on and so forth. And as you know that per capita availability need of the water for the vegetarian diet per day is almost one third of 15,000 liters per day for the non-vegetarian diet. That means our rainwater use efficiency in the non-vegetarian diet is far, far low as compared to the vegetarian diet. It was said that if the water scarcity has to be addressed, then the whole world should become the vegetarian, and as a result, the whole challenge of water availability will be addressed, because agriculture, as you are seeing on the left side pie diagram, agriculture is the major consumer of water, whereas municipalities and industries are hardly 10 to 12% water usage in India as such. That means our challenge is how to control the population, how we can control the food habits of the people, and how we can make rural areas more prosper. And for that, The earlier late President Dr. Abdul Kalam had started the program of providing urban facilities in rural areas, Pura, mainly to avoid or to minimize the migration of the people from rural areas to central areas. Water security is the major challenge for us, and we have to really work on how we can enhance the water use efficiency in agriculture. As you know, from the beginning in India, water has no value, no price, because it is a God given gift, as we understand. And our proverbs also talk like that pani jaisa paisa baha rahe ho. But now we have more money but less water, and now the proverb has to be paise jaisa pani baha rahe ho. And that is where our challenge is. Our groundwater is maximum utilization in the world is in India. We have more than 30 million bore wells in the country by 2022-23, and that is where lot of areas are getting into the dark zones for or critical zones for the groundwater as such. So water scarcity can be defined or is understood in different terminologies, like physical water scarcity, where water is not abundant enough to meet all demands of the population. Economic water scarcity, there is water resource available, but they don't have the finance to make use of that water. And of course, institutional water scarcity means there is water, but there are no institutions for equal distribution of water to the population. As you know, that types of water resources, we have blue water resource, which generally every farmer, every politician think of, that we can have a check dam, we can have the dams, we can have the canals and wells and so on and so forth. But 65% of biomass production in the world is based on the green water, that is the rainwater which is stored in the soil as a moisture. Of course, agriculture share is quite less because largely it is the forest systems and the grasslands, and that is where our challenge is, that how green water can be considered for addressing the issues of water productivity as such. It has been said at the international level that if we talk of blue water scarcity, then the total number of the people are almost 6 billion people who face the physical scarcity of water. But if we take green and blue water and gray water together, then the number comes down to less than 1 million people. And that is where the challenge is. For our country, with average rainfall of 1170 millimeter, India should not be facing the difficulty of water, but our mismanagement of water resources is the main reason for water scarcity as such. Second water, in addition to the green water, is the wastewater, which is 24 by 7 available in their villages. It is a cause of number of unhygienic diseases, as well as the problem of odor and mosquitoes and so on and so forth. But nowhere except this last 2 years, government of India has started the scheme for treating the wastewater based on our research which we have done in the India EU program of water for crops, where we have shown that by treating the wastewater in decentralized manner, by using the constructed wetlands, using the plants and the microorganisms for purifying the water, can convert the wastewater into the usable water for agriculture as such, because it doesn't have any heavy metals and there is no industrial pollution in the most of the rural areas, and that is how the government of India has started a scheme that they will provide the financial assistance, and the panchayat should provide the land for constructing the wetlands, and that's how the wastewater treatment can done. Basically, if we look into the summary for the water management, it should be made public in movement to become everyone's business. We cannot say that it is none of our business, because every one of us, starting from the early morning till we go to the bed, we use the water unresponsibly while shaving, while brushing the teeth, while drinking. Half the bottle we drink, half bottle we waste, and half glass we drink, and half glass goes to the basin, and that should not be the case as such. We have to make the awareness from childhood to the elder people that how water should be managed, just like how the power we are trying to manage now. The generation of the students are more sincere and more knowledgeable about saving the power than the adults. And if the adults leave the light on, the children in the house, they say, we are not there, let me put it off the light. And that's how basically one has to do the management of electricity or power as well as the water as such, because these are the reasons for the climate change as such, in addition to the vehicles which we are using, the fossil fuels which we are destroying. So if you look into the agroclimatic regions and the climate change, here we have looked at from 1971 to 1990 and 1991 to 2004, which clearly says that the aridity in India is increasing, particularly in Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, and Punjab, which are the granary of the country as such. And as the aridity sets in, the yields decrease, the cropping patterns change, and the food habits have to be changed as such. Dryness and wetness are increasing in different parts of the country because the number of rainy days have decreased dramatically. The rainfall intensity has increased, and that is how we have to manage the water properly, taking into account the climate change scenarios as such. If you look at the existing area and value pyramid of crops in India, the rice, wheat, and maize, which occupies almost 42% of the land, and oil seeds are only 13%. We have to import the oil seeds. Pulses are 13%. But if you look at the value, rice, wheat, and maize contribute only 19%, and oil seeds are 6% for 13% of the areas. That means almost 50%. But rice, wheat, and maize have 42% area, which is contributing only 19%. So we have to do the agriculture based on the agro-eco region potential. Second point which we need to take into account is what market needs that we need to produce. We don't need to produce rice and wheat when we have godowns which are overflowing, and government has, which is mandatory to keep 1 year stock to address the drought if it comes next year. But our godowns have 3 years of stock of rice and wheat, and that is where the agriculture has become more problematic for the farmers as well as for the policymakers as such. And as you know, in India, the agriculture is a state subject, and central government has no say in those things except indicating that we will give you this and this scheme, that scheme, and you have to get the benefit if you can contribute 40% or 50% cost of that particular intervention. And that is where the challenge is for India. If you look at the planetary boundaries, the cause for the climate change, we have already crossed 6 boundaries by 2013 as compared to only 3 boundaries which we have crossed in 2009. And these are basically the nitrous oxide, ocean acidification, chemical pollution, etc. as such. Malnourishment is also a challenge for the country because although we have self sufficiency in the food, in the global hunger index amongst 119 countries, India stands at 103rd rank. And that is where we have to be careful that we have the food availability, but purchasing power is not there because poverty is there. But of course, absolute poverty has been vanished from the country largely because of the government effort of providing the food for the low income groups at very minimal cost, as well as during the COVID time, the government started providing the food uh, items like rice, wheat, and so on and so forth, pulses, etc., uh, free of cost. And that's how World Bank has already indicated that in India there is no absolute poverty, there is no starvation as such, but poverty does exist around 14% of the people, 25% of the people in country are poorer than the national average requirement as such. If you look at malnutrition triangle, it is basically health, food, and education. And we have to look at our food as the through the lens of nutrition, like rice and wheat, as you know, they have high glycemic index. They need more water. Rice is guzzler of the water, followed by sugarcane and also by the cotton. But the crops like millets, finger millet, sorghum, pearl millet, proso millet, kodo millet are the poor man's crop which were there. They are more nutritious, less water requiring, and that's why Government of India, with the help of the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and ICRISAT together, have pushed the International Year of Pearl Millets, which has ended in 2023, uh, across the world to enhance the awareness about the climate resilient crops as such. Our Prime Minister is talking about doubling the farmers' income, and basically number of schemes have been initiated like direct benefit transfer and crop insurance, etc., as well as the MSP for the pulses and the minor crops like pearl millet and ragi, etc., basically are the one which are. These are number of Government of India's initiative, which you must be well aware. If not, you will get the copy of the presentation from the organizers and you can have the look at that one. Of course, agriculture education, we have to harness the power of digital agriculture because as I said that 59% of the people do not get any support from the government agencies or the private agencies or the civil society organizations for the extension education as such. And as you know that 50% of agriculture is rampant, our large yield gaps are there. Although we may be top one or second position in rice, wheat, milk, etc. production. But our, if you compare the productivity of any of the crops in India with the best country in the world, there is a large yield gap. As you are seeing in this graph, average productivity of the rainfed agriculture is 1 ton, but long-term experiment at ICRISAT campus has demonstrated over the years that we can have the productivity of 5 tons as such. Government of India has done a lot of reforms during the COVID-19 and all these need to be harnessed properly, like allowed setting up private purchase centers by the government of Madhya Pradesh outside market yards because we had the market policy that you have to sell only in the market, but now lot of vegetables as well as other crops can be sold by the farmer directly in the field itself as such. And of course, these are the vigorous number of steps to improve the farmers' lives, like Aadhaar-based direct benefit transfer, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, e-NAM, technology for farmers, increasing minimum support prices for the less water requiring crops more and water guzzlers less. Kisan Rail and Kisan Udan are enabling the farmers to sell their product at distant places, launching one district, one product, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, PM Kisan Manthan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojana, and so on and so forth. So, we have the technologies, but we don't know how to do it. And that is where our challenge is. Because most of our scientists, as well as the extension workers and department people, work up to the pilot stage, and then scaling up is the choice challenge which we are not able to meet because developmental research has been not taken into account. What are the socioeconomic challenges? What are the actual challenges faced by the rural areas in terms of finance, in terms of knowledge, in terms of education, or not. And if we have to address this, then development research should become the important one. For your kind information, Nature 2020 has brought out full volume why poverty is not reduced, and the blame has been put on that no scientist, no extension worker, no government department people want to work with the small and marginal farmers, and that's why poverty is not reduced in the world as such, and same is the case in India also as such. So our strategy has to be a holistic and integrated approach because our small farmer who has less than 2 hectares of land is growing 3 to 4 crops and deriving only 35 to 40% of the family income. Another 30% comes from the livestock, poultry, etc., allied sectors, and another 25 to 30% comes from the labor work which he or she does into the other farm as such. So we have to transform agriculture from subsistence to a business model and science-led demand-driven innovations, what market needs that we need to produce. And that's where basically a new deal for the rain-fed farmers, knowledge intensive agriculture has to become, discard the compartmental target-based approach and shift to integrated, demand-driven and knowledge-based approach through building public-private partnerships. We have to bring in the partners, and that's where basically we have to adopt the agroecology-based farming, taking into account the market demands as such, and that's where basically we need to work on the integrated watershed management, whether it is irrigated agriculture or rainfed agriculture. We have to adopt the rainwater management as such, maximum use of the soil moisture, that is the green water, and then the groundwater should be improved, the recharge every year after the rains, and that's where basically we need to bring in lot of landform treatments to enable the soil to keep the soil rainfall in the soil so that moisture can be stored and used by the crop as such. Excess water can be harvested into the small ponds, farm ponds, the dug wells which are there, which have become defunct, can be the good source of water recharging as such, and that's where basically we need to concentrate on. But water alone can't do it. We need to take care of soil health also. We have to have the climate smart crops and cultivars because climate change is already happening. Market institutions and policy support has to be there. Need for integrated approach. As you know that Government of India has started the soil health mapping program, and we were the first in 2009 in Karnataka to make the soil health atlas for the whole state as such. So you can get the recommendation for each village on the map, digital map as such on the computer you can say, and that's where basically we use this approach of soil health mapping, and based on that, the policy paper was submitted to the Government of India, Prime Minister's office, and then it became the soil health card issue, as well as the direct benefit transfer, the insurance, crop insurance, pulses self-sufficiency, and also the rain fallow management for achieving the pulses self-sufficiency. So this is how, if our soils are deficient in manure and secondary nutrients, then adding nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash has no value as such, because the critical limits of zinc, boron, sulfur, iron, aluminum are the one which hold back the potential of macronutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash, and that's why we have to have soil test based recommendations as such. We need to improve the soil health, uh, considering the conservation of soil. So soil should not be lost from the field because of erosion. Diversify the systems with legumes, not only the cereals. Organic matter is a challenge for us in the tropical country like India, and that's where we need to concentrate on more organic matter management, balanced nutrition as such. Climate smart crops or cultivars need to be brought it in, and there are a number of climate smart varieties, but the seed availability becomes the issue, and that's where the government as well as the civil society organizations, the research scientists, the KVKs have to work together to make available the seeds of the climate smart crops or the cultivars as such. We need to adopt the integrated pest management as well as allied sector development. As you have heard in the earlier lecture, we need to concentrate more on high value crops, and that's where basically the crops like irrigation like through the drip, or the uh, polyhouse cultivation, or the soilless cultivation of these vegetables and fruits can be hydroponics can be used for uh, enhancing the income of the farmers as such. And basically, the micro enterprises, particularly for the women, have to be brought it in, either vermicomposting, nursery raising, or the cattle breeding, improving the breeds, poultry, seed banks, etc., can be done by the women self-help groups. And of course, the uh, producers organization, farmer producer organization, FPOs are a better model to reach to the large number of farmers, and the expert can talk with the people in the FPOs, and then the FPOs can disseminate the information. This is the soil fertility atlas for Karnataka, and this type of atlas should be there for each one. And basically, we need to harness the power of information technology as such, and that's where better, faster, and cheaper solutions can be provided to the farmers. And this is the thing what digital agriculture can do. And basically, as you know, that country, lot of SMEs are working on digital agriculture, like you have heard the earlier lecture, Kheti Badi, and also the drone people are using for spraying and other things. But large number of farmers are deprived of this. We have worked on digital agriculture for groundnut sowing crop with the Microsoft, and that's where we provided the exact timing of sowing the groundnut crop in Kurnool district of Andhra Pradesh, and that's where basically the yields were increased, the failures were decreased, and as you know that with the climate change, the season of rainfall, rainy season has changed, and the farmers still adopt the old knowledge based sowing, and little rains in the month of May, they go and save the crop, and then it fails because there are no rains in June. In India, we have almost 11 million hectares of land after growing the rice, which have sufficient moisture, and these lands have been used by the government of India based on our involvement with this National Remote Sensing Agency. And now, earlier, when Mr. Patnaik was the secretary, this particular scheme was put, and within 3 years, India became self-sufficient in the farmers as such. These are the innovative extension systems. where you can use the WhatsApp groups, you can use the farmer to farmer videos, which are used by the digital green, and basically you can use the farm facilitators, you can have the land resources inventory in the cloud so that one can download the data, and one-stop solution basically has to be there. And for that, multiple growth engines have to be fired simultaneously for enhancing the water use efficiency. And that's where these are the examples of Bhuchetna, where we have worked with government of Karnataka, and more than $453 million in 7 years were added to the income of the farmers. The yield increases were 20 to 66%. 7 million hectare land was brought under Bhujetna, and more than 5 million farmers benefited this one. Similar thing, lot of benefits through the watershed program come: the human capital, the financial capital, social capital, physical and natural capital, all are improved as such. And we need to innovate the hybrid solutions through consortium approach, building the partnerships with the public, private, government, civil society, and farmer organizations. And co-creation of solutions for tangible benefits is the important thing. And that's why this 4 I6 model is proposed, which should be integrated, inclusive of all stakeholders, impact-oriented, and innovative approaches through building the consortium, convergence of activities, cooperation of all stakeholders. Capacity building is important. It should be efficient, it should be environment friendly, it should ensure the economic gain to the farmers. Equity must be assured for small and farm holders. It should be simple, scalable, socially acceptable, and sustainable. And when we have this, we have shown that the drivers of success are demand driven solutions, tangible economic benefits, knowledge-based interventions, equal partnerships, trust and shared vision, good local leadership, transparency and social vigilance in the financial dealings, equity through low-cost technologies, and empowerment. This is how we can transform the Indian agriculture, and Government of India is definitely doing its best to help the farmers to come up with the enhance productivity, enhance incomes, enhance benefits, and that's where we all, including you, also have to support the farmers for scaling up the benefits by bringing in the available technologies at the farmer's doorstep. Thank you very much.
Dear participants, if you have any query, then you can ask question to sir.
No questions? That means everything was above the head. Okay, Snehal, no problem.
Thank you so much, sir. Please accept our sincere thanks on behalf of Just Agriculture Group. Sir, it was a real pleasure to having you as our speaker, and hope you will consider us again for your future engagement.
Thank you very much. Actually, I am at the farmhouse, and that's where the challenge is there for the connectivity as such. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all participants.
Right. Bye.